Hey guys, my name is Tito. I make videos on personal finance on my other channel. On this channel, I talk about other things, like today when I'll be reviewing the new Nollywood film on Amazon Prime Video, Sistá. This review will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film, maybe go and watch it first before watching this review. When a teenage girl gets pregnant for her boyfriend, they're forced to fend for themselves through her pregnancy and as they raise the child. They get by until she gets pregnant again and the father of her children decides to abandon them when he goes for National Youth Service. 2 decades pass and she manages to raise her children on her own while working as a cleaner, but her world is thrown upside down when the father of her children resurfaces with a whole other family. Sistá is written, produced, executive produced and directed by the talented and prolific Biodun Stephen. Now guys, please be sure to watch this review all the way to the end because I do have an announcement regarding how I will be tackling my reviews going forward. So please, like I said, be sure to watch this review all the way to the end. Now, Sistá, a highly anticipated Nollywood film. This film was meant to come out in 2022 in cinemas. I remember seeing the poster several times when I went to the cinema, but all of a sudden I stopped seeing the posters and other Biodun Stephen films were coming out in the cinemas and it felt like this film just vanished and people were asking Biodun Stephen, what happened to Sistá? When is it coming out? Why hasn't it come out? And all that. I think a trailer did come out at some point suggesting that it will be coming out again soon. A trailer where Kehinde Bankole was walking down the stairs and out a door. But then that disappeared and we didn't hear anything again. Then we heard that it was going to come out on streaming. Then it was announced that it will come out on Prime Video. Eventually this week it came out on Prime Video, I think on Wednesday. It came out earlier than scheduled. So it's now out. I saw it on Friday. Lots of other people have seen it. They've shared their thoughts about the movie on social media. I've seen a few and I'm going to share mine in this review because hey, that's the purpose of this entire video, right? So guys, let's dive into it, starting with the performances in this film. Kehinde Bankole, without a doubt, Kehinde Bankole is the best thing about this movie. Her performance was stellar. People really loved it. It was very convincing, very believable, and if you see the remarks of people who've now seen the movie, they can't go out without mentioning how brilliant Kehinde Bankole was in the film, playing this single mother who raises her 2 children by herself after the father of her children abandons them when he goes for NYSC. I think the thing that really moved us about this performance, aside from it being very relatable and it being a reality for many people around the world, Kehinde Bankole's performance was it was unique because, especially for me, well, speaking for myself anyway, I've never seen Kehinde Bankole play this kind of woman, a woman who is in like a lower class of society, who is actually a cleaner and doing it or performing the role so well. Typically, you see Kehinde Bankole playing a sophisticated, headstrong, assertive woman in her 20s or 30s, but this one was highly different, and I think that's what really blew people away and just showed Kehinde Bankole's acting chops in this film. So shout out to Kehinde Bankole. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets nominations based on her performance in this film. Moving on to Temitope Oluoniyan, who plays Jemima, or I think Auntie J or Sister J, according to how Sistá referred to her in the film. She's like this contractor who gets Sistá cleaning jobs. I really enjoyed Temitope's performance. It was really good. She brought flavor to it, playing a northern character, or making the character like, no, I don't think they needed to make the character a northern woman, but they did, and I'm glad that they did because it gave Temitope an opportunity to show her own acting chops as well by doing the whole northern accent and speaking Hausa as well, which she did really well. It was nice to hear her speaking in that accent. I felt she did a very good job. Shout out Temitope Oluoniyan as well. Bisola Aiyeola. Bisola is in a supporting role in this film. Funny enough, Bisola Aiyeola and Kehinde Bankole, they have a film together that was directed by Kehinde Stephen, which came out years ago, like almost 10 years ago, and they looked so different in that film. I saw it on YouTube. I don't know if it's still on YouTube. Not Kehinde Bankole. Biodun Stephen has a YouTube channel, I think Shutter Space. I'll put it on the screen, right? So she publicized it a couple of months ago. I watched it. It was very interesting. It was interesting in the sense of, it was interesting to see how far both actresses have come today, because the whole film was just, you'll be like watching, you'll be like, wow, there's lots of singing and dancing. They looked so different way back then. Anyway, I digress. Bisola is in this film again against, playing opposite Kehinde Bankole. And Bisola plays, as you guys know, Tiwa Tope, this Nigerian woman who moved abroad, stayed there for a while, has an accent, level-headed, seeing as her husband actually abandoned his first family and, met her and married her and never told her about his first family. I liked Bisola's performance. It was nice. I think what really moved the needle for many of us regarding Bisola's performances was the fact that this was a very different character from the ones that we've seen Bisola play. Typically, we see Bisola play fiery, funny, and very outrageous characters, in most of the comedies or dramas that we see her in. So this was a very different type of character that we saw her playing. I did have issues with the character, which I'll talk about later on in this review, but I did not have issues with Bisola's performance. I think Bisola's performance was sufficient. Now, on to the husband of Bisola's character, Fola, played by the one and only Deyemi Okanlawon. Forgive me for saying, but it seems as if they want to ever cast an emotionally or a physically abusive husband in a Nollywood film, it feels like Deyemi Okanlawon is on the top of that list. Because as soon as he walked into the compound in the film, I was like, oh my gosh. Deyemi he's the husband, right? He's the guy who walked away, not the husband, they never got married, but he's the father who walked away on, his child's mother, who was also pregnant at the time. I was just like, yeah, it's Deyemi, definitely. I don't know. I low-key wished that someone else played that character so that it won't be so obvious that Deyemi was the guy, the older version of the guy, right? But Deyemi did do a good job, because if what the filmmaker wanted us to feel was anger towards Folari, right, then it was mission accomplished, because Folari, he just kept on going over Sista's head when he was trying to win his children over or come back into their lives, and that was a bit annoying. So I think Deyemi communicated it well, if that was the objective. Essentially what I'm saying is Deyemi did a good job, but it just feels like, to be honest, it kind of felt like a role that I felt like I've seen him play that role before, more than once. The younger version of his character, Folari, was played by Chimezie Imo, another fantastic young actor who's been doing great things lately. I really hope, fingers crossed, that Chimezie wins the Trailblazer Award at, the AMVCAs very soon, before he just becomes too big to win that award. Have you guys noticed that thus far, that Trailblazer Award at the AMVCAs has only been won by women? What's going on? Speaking of AMVCAs, I filmed my AMVCAs after the AMVCAs, but I just couldn't find the time to put it out. May was incredibly busy. I'm digressing. I'm just putting it out there for those of you who, as soon as I mentioned the AMVCAs, you remembered, oh, Tito hasn't put out his AMVCA video yet. That's why I haven't put it out. I've been very busy. Work has been, personal life and professional life, choke. Let me just put it that way. So yeah, Chimezie Imo did a fantastic job. I've seen him do much better, but the reason we didn't get to really see his acting chops in this film was because the character didn't get that much to do, I think. He only had scenes with the young lady who played the younger version of Sistá, and her name is Adewale Adedamola Rukayat. She played young Sistá. She did a fantastic job as well. Both of them did very well playing the younger versions of the main characters. There were lots of other actors in this film. The kids, the people who played the children in this movie, let me call their names just to give them the proper recognition. Fola Jr was played by Adeoluwa Akintobi. Great actor. I've seen him in a few other things. And Anu was played by Chiamaka Uzokwe. You both did fantastic jobs. I appreciated your performances playing the children of Deyemi and Kehinde's characters in the movie. What I liked. Well, first of all, Kehinde Bankole's performance, we all liked that. I thought it was really good. I also liked the fact that the character it felt incredibly relatable. I think there's so many people who have gone through what Sistá went through, either as the parent, the mother, or the children of such a parent, or we know people who have been through that, right? So we kind of know that story and we're familiar with it, and Kehinde Bankole delivered that character and that story very well. You could relate with her frustrations of being a single parent, having her life just take a whole detour because she had a child with this irresponsible young man who abandoned her and her children. There are just so many emotions that go with all of that, and Kehinde Bankole did a fantastic job of communicating all that on screen. I also liked the sets, a few of the sets. For example, Sistá's home that she lived in with her 2 children, it looked very homely, it looked very nice. I appreciated the furniture and the setup. It really looked really cool. It felt like some thought went into it, particularly the living room. I liked it. What else did I like? I liked her outfits, Sistá's outfits. Well, the costuming wasn't too bad. Jemima, played by Tope Oluwaniyan, looked nice as well. But I like how they made Sistá look nice, particularly from like the middle of the film towards the end. She was a cleaner, a lower income, individual, but they also made it such that she takes care of herself, and she's trying to make an effort to be presentable because of her clientele or because of her children and whatnot. So I liked her costuming and the fact that the character was actually putting in a bit of effort into her look and how presentable she was. So yeah, those were the things I liked about this movie. I want to say that I liked the cinematography, but to be honest, I can't think of any particular scene or angle or shots that they took in this film that really stuck out. Nothing is coming to mind. There wasn't a portion of the film where I was like, oh, that's an interesting angle, or oh, that was quite creative. So yeah, I want to talk about the creativity, yes, and the cinematography, but sadly nothing comes to mind. What I didn't like the fact that this film didn't explore with the other characters in the movie. Like Bisola's character, for example, Tiwa Tope, a woman who has kids with this man and finds out that her husband has a whole other family, or had a whole other family before meeting and marrying her, and he didn't tell her about it. Bisola's character, Tiwa Tope, seemed very calm. Yes, there are calm people in the world, but she seemed unrealistically calm about the whole situation. She didn't flip out, she didn't go off on the guy, and that just didn't feel normal. And while there was a scene where she talks to him and says, you never, actually asked me how I feel about all this. You didn't take the time to consider me and whatnot. There was that scene, but it felt like it should have been more. It should have been bigger. There should have been a scene, if you ask me, where Tiwa Tope is crying, having realized that her life and her children's life and her whole family dynamic has now changed, has been turned on its head because her husband had a whole other family 20 years ago, and now he's trying to accept them and bring them into the fold. While she's a nice woman and she understands the dynamic as a woman as well, it's still a bit jarring for her. It should have been really riveting for Tiwa Tope, and that didn't happen. We didn't get to see that. We didn't get to see tears from her or the emotion that a woman in that kind of situation would have felt. And I felt like that was a real missed opportunity. And not just with that character. Like I said earlier, I wished that we had seen a bit more with Jemima, i.e. Tope Oluwaniyan's character. It felt like this film could have had subplots, and the other characters could have been fleshed out a bit. And they could have, extended this movie from the 90-something minutes it was to maybe like 2 hours by developing those other characters and those other subplots. But it seemed like they picked the easy way out and they made it this very linear A to B type of film. Speaking about it being linear, yeah, I think this is a separate point entirely. The film felt like it was just very straight to the point. It just was about this woman or this couple who get pregnant. They have to fend for themselves for a few years while the guy is in school. Then he goes for youth service, abandoning the woman, his child, and their soon-to-be child. And he comes back and he wants to make amends, and he's a bit of an ass about it by not sitting down to talk with the woman first, but instead going directly to the kids. And then all of a sudden he apologizes and all is right with the world. And the movie ends when he relocates them to the Netherlands, or Amsterdam, which is much easier to say. So yeah, just A to B was just very direct. And yeah, when the film ended, I was like, that's it. That's what all this controversy and all this waiting, all these months, almost a year for this movie to come out, that's what it was about? Seriously? In conclusion, this was another really good effort from Biodun Stephen, the prolific Biodun Stephen. She's released so many films in the last 2 or 3 years. My goodness, it's hard to even keep track. But yeah, I'm really happy for her with this film. It was highly anticipated. There was a screening, I think, on Women's Day. Was it this year or last year? There was a film festival in France in May, which she went for, and I think she showed the film there. Or was it another film with was it another film I think it was the other film, the Wildflower, that she screened there. But I do think this film, Sistá, was screened in a few places. The point being, this film is highly anticipated, and people apparently really love it. I'm really happy for Biodun Stephen. I think why it took so long for it to come out was because she wanted it to come out on streaming, not particularly in the cinemas. She had lots of control over this film because not only did she direct, she produced, she executive produced. I think she scripted and wrote it as well. She handled costuming for one of the actors. I think, was it Temitope Oluoni's character? I think she was also creative director. She wore several hats on this film, and essentially the movie was hers. She was a producer and executive producer, like I said, so she could call the shots as to where she wanted this film to come out. And I think at the end of the day, she got the best deal with Prime Video, and I think it's paying off for all involved. So shout out to Biodun Stephen. I think this film, the people who will enjoy it are fans of Biodun Stephen like myself, people who like films that aren't too complicated, films that are relatable, films that talk about, you know, the struggles of women in particular and single mothers. So if that's anybody's cup of tea, they would particularly enjoy this film. I don't think this film is up the alley of people that aren't really used to Nollywood. You know that these people who don't watch Nollywood films, I don't think this is the film to show to them to try and get them to watch Nollywood films. I'm not sure they'd really enjoy it because it's a bit too much of a simple story for them, in my opinion. But aside from that, anyone else I think would enjoy this film. But hey, you guys have probably already seen it. Like I said, it's on streaming. And if you haven't seen it, I've probably ruined it for you by telling you the entire plot in this review. Let me end it there, guys. The announcement I wanted to make. Before the announcement, though, I haven't been doing reviews for a little while. Life has been lifing. May was busy. There was the MVCAs. I did the review. I haven't put it out, like I said earlier, but I also had a client. I filmed a documentary for a client, and that took a lot of my May, and it's not entirely over yet. We're still in post-production. And so yeah, that's why I haven't been doing that many reviews. There have been so many films, some of which I've seen, but I haven't had the time to review. So I apologize. Luckily, many of you weren't checking for me. I don't know if that's a good thing. But you guys didn't pressure me to come back and start doing reviews. I hope now in June I can hit the ground running. There's so many films that have been coming out that I really want to review. So I hope I can review most of them, both in the cinemas and on streaming. And yeah, hopefully back to back, there'll be stuff coming out on the channel. I'm also filming my podcast. That should be out as well. I don't know how I'm going to juggle that and the other things I do, including client work. We'll see. The announcement. I'm going to be rating my Nollywood reviews henceforth. I'm going to be using my friend Delphine Okoba's rating system, where she rates it by plates of jollof, right? I did take permission from her. Shout out to Delphine. I had to take her permission. I didn't want to just start rating my reviews using her jollof system without clearing it with her first, and she gave me the go ahead. This idea was suggested by another friend. One day has really been on my case about, you know, trying to rate my videos at the end of the videos. He had his reasons, and I did see the reason behind it. And anyway, I've capitulated, I've agreed, and I will be rating my reviews using Delphine's jollof system going forward. With that in mind, let me rate this film, Sistá. I will rate this movie 2.5 jollofs. Does Delphine say 2.5 jollofs or plates of jollof? I think she says 2.5 jollofs, right? So yes, a 2.5 or a 50%. Let me know in the comment section down below what you rate this movie as, how, you know, using the jollof system or your own other system. Let me know in the comment section down below. While you're at it, guys, please like this video by clicking on the like button, and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the black subscribe button. You clicking on the like button and subscribing to my channel, or even leaving a comment down below, really goes a long way in increasing the visibility of this video and of my channel. And for us YouTubers, that is actually a big deal. So please show me a little love by liking the video, by clicking on the like button, like I said, and subscribing to my channel as well, and leaving a comment. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews, I also talk about relationships. To check out some of my relationship videos, you can click the card in the corner of the screen, and hopefully soon there'll be podcast content on this channel as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this long review. Sorry that was so long. I didn't intend for it to be so long, but I hope you did enjoy it. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I will see you guys hopefully real soon, fingers crossed, in the next video, which should be in a week or less. Take care, guys.